Hello, Mark here again. Yesterday we used conditional formatting to check for duplicates and we came across some problems using text, which I'll repeat again in a second. Today I want to show you how to use data validation using lists, which can avert this in some instances. It's just an introduction. Okay, so if you remember yesterday we were looking at, for example, Shift Control down this column here, conditional formatting, highlight subject, and we can check for duplicate values. And although we believe there are duplicates in there, conditional formatting has not detected them, and this is purely because the text has come in slightly different ways, with blanks sometimes before or trailing after the entry. So John Smith here is okay, but the John Smith here has some blanks in it, and yes, there's one at the start. When I take out the blanks, you'll see this one at the top and this one are highlighted, and conditional formatting has done its job. But it is a problem with text. Text always needs to be validated. If I change this to a lowercase, sometimes it will detect it, sometimes it's case sensitive. It's not case sensitive, so it will detect it. Other functions in Excel will detect the difference. So again, we need to validate the data. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off conditional formatting, clear rules from this entire sheet. So, right. So, let's say we're starting to make some records and we're putting in names, but we're also putting in regions, and I'm going to keep it down to a few regions. Division, we can call it Midlands, North, South, West. So if we start in here, we could go to data and go into data validation and restrict the entries you put in. So we're going to make a list to choose from, and I'm going to show you two ways today. The first one, you can just enter the values in here. So what did we have? We had North, comma, so you delimit each one with a comma, South, Midlands, West. Make sure I spell those right correctly. So we're going to umbrella. In this entry we have a drop down box and we can choose North or South or whatever we like. Control Z to blanket. I'm going to copy and then paste down a few cells. But I'm going to use paste special. It's just a validation with copying down, which means whenever you click in one of these, it will give you a choice, and if you can even type out the entry if it's correct, but if you misspell it, you'll get an error message. This value doesn't match the data validation restriction, which is good. So we're going to try again. This time we'll use a drop down. Best to delete and use a drop down. Of course, when you've got various records, you may get quite a few people living in the south or working in the south. We'll leave it at this floor number. The advantage of using this, if I copy the values, I'm going to just paste values there. We can quickly find the duplicates using the conditional formatting. Duplicate values, and in fact we can flip it. Instead of looking for duplicates, we can look for unique values, entries which we only put in once, and it's highlighted. So quite powerful, and you can imagine when you've got scores or hundreds of rows to check, it can be quite useful and time saving to do this. Right, I'm going to just come back to this data validation. What we can do, instead of using our list we put in ourselves, we can use a list which we put on another sheet. And again, I'm going to copy down the validation. Paste special validation. Now, little trick, if this changes to north, from north to northeast, the validation list now will show northeast, which is quite powerful, but there is a drawback to this. If I put another one, let's say Scotland at the bottom, I don't mean anything by that, if any Scottish people are looking, and I show sheet 1, it doesn't reflect in the validation list. As is often the case with Excel, there's a workaround, but you have to be aware of this. If I go here and insert, shift cells down, and then move Scotland up to the middle, bit of promotion there. Now when we look at the drop down list, we've got Scotland as an option. So two ways of listing validation, validating lists. There are more ways. You can use a table or even set up database tables, but these are more complicated measures for a later lesson. Right, again, hope you've enjoyed all this. It's coming up to a weekend now, so hope you have a good weekend, and I hope you enjoy playing about with Excel.